Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Riles YouTube. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And guess what? Today, I have a really good one for you. A wonderful, amazing memory from my childhood when I used to live with my mom. It was so interesting. Like so many places we visited. Every single time we moved, like each house was like a castle to me and my siblings. We would explore it. Like these rooms are so big, even though we were just small and they weren't really that big. But it was just so fun to be like, this is such a big place. It's got every nook and cranny. We can explore the cabinets, the closets, the bedrooms. We were always like, who gets the biggest bedroom? Who gets the biggest bed? Who gets to sleep in whose room? Because there's only like two or three rooms in the whole house. Like normal childhood sibling stuff. It was really fun. But this house is the most interesting, I believe, other than the big blue house, but that's a story for another time. In this house, it was the house in the woods. It was creepy. It was old. It was very bright, honestly, very sunny and bright, like except for the basement. And I will get to that. We will talk about the basement. But for now, I will leave the foreshadowing to do itself. That time, I lived in a haunted house. Okay, so I perfectly remember this. The house number was 7515 and it was on Highway 195. I remember the city and state, but I'm probably not going to mention that in a YouTube video. So, the most interesting thing about this highway was that, well, first of all, there were a lot of mile markers. I remember for a fact, like, I'm in a state now that does not use mile markers, but in this state that we lived in, the house in the woods, lots of mile markers. And like 2 mile markers down, or maybe like one, just probably one, there was a bus stop on the side of the highway. And when I was a kid, I had never seen that before. I was like, you put a bus stop on the side of the highway? What if the kids get hit by cars? I don't think that ever happened, but it was a thought in my mind. I don't think we ever took the bus though. I don't remember taking the bus. We probably did. It would make more sense. But it was just like an interesting thing in my mind because I was like, we never really lived out in the middle of nowhere before. Like I remember suburbs all the time or condo or like I don't really call them condos, like triple stack apartments, but like houses in suburbs usually. So a highway was a different thing for me and my siblings. Now the driveway that we had to take to get into like up to the house through these woods was so twisty, so windy. It curved so sharply. You could barely make a car around there. Like who made this driveway? It was a terrible driveway. Like we had to line the edges of it with rocks just to make sure people didn't like run into the woods and crash into a tree. Like and it was steep. Like it went up a really steep hill to get up there. Like people like it and it wasn't paved. It was like dirt or gravel. It was just terrible, a terrible driveway. So this is like the best image I could find to represent the house in the woods. Like the house in the woods wasn't this decrepit. I will say this would be like if nobody lived there for a long time after me and my family moved out. It's like me, my mom, and my siblings and her boyfriend. But this is pretty close. It was beautiful to look at in the daytime, but nobody ever wanted to go out at night. I will tell you that right now. And there was one time, like we had some really good times in this house. Like we found a dog in the woods, and we named him Rocky because he had like black and brown and tan like splotches that looked like rocks. Like he just looked rocky, so we named him Rocky, and it was my mom's boyfriend's dog. Me, like okay, so like there was a black cat that we found out there. Well, my little brother Riley, he found the black cat and brought it into the house, and me and Devin saw it immediately, and we begged our mom like, please, we have to keep this cat. We love this cat. Like we're gonna save it. And I even named him Midnight before my mom even said yes. So basically, like she had to say yes at that point. You don't just name an animal and then don't get to keep it. So we got a black cat that my little brother Riley found that became mine, literally, like pretty much mine. Like it was Riley found it, but it was my cat. Um, but yeah, some little interesting tidbits from the beginning and middle, like all the times in this house, just full of light and memories at first. But here's one memory. There was one time my mom was like, we're gonna go to McDonald's for dinner. But first, you guys got to clean up some sticks next to the side of the house. And there was a big pile of sticks. It was so big, it was taller than all of us. And I was the tallest one in there. Like, we had to, like we were picking them out, like, one by one. We were trying to carry as many as we could. We had to put them in the back of the truck so my mom and her boyfriend could take them to the disposal or whatever. But like, we were out there for at least an hour. Like, and then finally, like, my mom just comes out all of a sudden. She's getting in the truck. Her boyfriend's with her. Like, they're piling up. They're like, we're going to McDonald's right now, and you got a lot of sticks left. If you don't hurry up, like, we're leaving without you, and like literally right now. So my little brother Riley did a lot of cool stuff at this house. I'm telling you, Riley was like number one at this house. I think. Nah, no, 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 no. Don't let that get to his ego. So he grabs. I don't even know where or how he grabbed it, but he picked up the whole pile of sticks, and it was still big. He picked up the whole pile of sticks. Not a single stick was left behind. Put it in the back of the truck, and we got to go to McDonald's. We were all of our minds were blown. Like we were so flabbergasted. We were like, "What the heck just happened? How did this little tiny boy, this little tiny man, just pick up all of those gosh dang sticks? There is no way. Like none of us could do it, but he did, and we got to go to McDonald's. We freaking love McDonald's. So we would always play in the woods. Like there were woods all around the house. No like sight line to the highway at all, just woods. And we loved going in the woods. Our mom would go with us sometimes. Like we would explore. Like we went with our mom. Like we found like a fence line, and there was like barbed wire on this fence. And our mom's like, well, we could like lift it up and go underneath. And we were all like, no, we can't go onto that farm. There was a farm out there. Like it was just a huge field, like so like a long expanse. We don't even know what they were growing. Probably like wheat or something. Like I don't even know, or potatoes. Who knows? But like you couldn't even see the house or the farm or the barn or anything, just the field. But there was a barbed wire fence, and we were not about to cross that fence. A lot of times we would go out there without our mom. Like one time, our little sister Angel, she had like a Barbie Jeep that was battery powered. You could drive around in, and we had like a fort out in the woods. She wanted to drive the Barbie Jeep out into the fort. We tried to push her in it because like you can't drive a battery powered Jeep over all that like grass and dirt and leaves and twigs and through the trees. Like that's not gonna happen. So she sat in it while we pushed, but that didn't last for long because it was too difficult to maneuver, too difficult to push, and it was too heavy because there was a kid in the car. So she had to get out and help us push, but she pretty much walked alongside us and didn't do anything because like obviously the three brothers are gonna help the little sister as best as they can. But we made it to that fort. That car was like I don't think we ever got that car back out of those woods. It's probably still at that fort to this day. But I remember we had a friend, and I'll mention his name. We'll talk about him later, but we're gonna like mention him just a little bit right now. We he did not like the woods, but we managed to convince him to come with us to the fort. Like it took so much convincing. We talked for like 20, 30 minutes to get him to come with us, and it was starting to get dark out. Like we were out there for a long time just playing in the fort. Like it was literally twigs and sticks and branches just piled up to make a roof around like some like other branches sticking out of trees and stuff. Like it was just hanging out, like hanging around and like hanging low, but we ducked underneath and it was like a big fortress inside. It was really cool. It was kind of circular and there's like a central tree that we circled around. It was like a base of operations in the woods and he loved it. Like he was glad that he overcame his fears and went out into the woods with us. But our mom was calling us and we could not hear her. Like I don't know if she wanted us to eat dinner or if it was bedtime or what, but it was getting dark out. She was like, "You need to come back home." We finally heard her like, and I think we were gonna get lost. Like it was dark now, so we were gonna get lost. And I stopped, turned to my siblings and our friend, and I said, "Guess what? I have a map of every single forest in the entire world. And if I'm placed in the middle of a forest and I can't find my way out, well, guess what? I know the map of the forest. I will always find my way out. And right now, we're going to find our way out." Like by now, our mom had stopped calling us, but we found our way out and got back to the house with my lead. I was usually the leader of exploration type things. So there was one time my mom's boyfriend got me and my brother Devin some paintball guns. Me and my brother Devin would like play with those things all the time. We loved going out into the woods and just shooting random tree stumps or just bark or trees or logs. We marked the woods up that those woods were me and Devin's territory. And a little bit Riley's and a little bit Angel's, but mostly me and Devin's because we marked those woods up with some paintball guns. It was really fun. We loved it. We never shot each other. We were always on the same team, but we like it was orange paint. It was always orange. We never had any other color. And the last thing about the woods, there was like a little pathway that led up into the woods. It was like on a little ledge, like hilly, like it wasn't like a hill, it was kind of like a ledge, like right like over next to the house, a little bit far away, but like you could like see the house. It was close enough. And we found a bunch of wooden planks. We set them all up, like put them together and made booths and little like roofs and houses and shops, mostly shops. We took a bunch of stuffed animals out there, never brought them back inside. Like they got rain, shine, all kinds of weather. They were dirty by the end of that. They're probably still sitting out there to this day. And we would play shop, play village. Like we would go around buying things. We would have them go to other people and trade. Like the stuffed animals were having a good time out there in those woods. And we always play with stuffed animals. Like we were so good at like making up worlds and cities and money systems. Like we made paper money all the time. This was before we made paper money, but we still found ways to trade, probably with like pebbles and like leaves. Those were the money at that shop village. But that was a fun time. We loved playing that like out there in the woods and playing with the stuffed animals and playing with the Barbie Jeep and hanging out in the fort and exploring it with our mom every long once in a while, going out to that fence and looking at the field. It was so fun. Now, another playtime activity outside that we love to do, we would go around the house, we would go up and down the grassy like valley area, and we had a kiddie pool, and we played this game. I don't even really remember what it was called, but I mean, for some reason, I played as Cheetah Girl and the Red Dragon. Riley played as Mine Man, and Devin played as Tiger Man. And every once in a while, Angel came out and played as the Pink Princess. And Red Dragon was the bad guy, and everybody else was the good guys. And we had to like fight the Red Dragon, and he would try to take over the holy water of the swimming pool. and use it for power to make his magic super strong. And everybody had like super moves and regular moves and fighting moves and magic moves. Like that, those were the sets. And we would battle each other, or like we would do duels if we were like friendly teams, but we would fight each other as duels. But we would battle the red dragon as boss battles and have fun. I always loved creating RPGs with my siblings. Like I know I did a lot of them. The early days was not really an RPG, but like a game that was like close to an RPG. Like the pretty much like beta RPG. The first RPG I ever created that wasn't really an RPG was, I don't really remember the exact name, but I think it was like Jumping Ninjas. And this was in a different house. The room was kind of small, and me and Devin shared it, but we had two separate beds, and the room was so small that there was like a 3 foot gap or 4 foot, like 3 to 4 foot gap between the two beds. They were both like parallel to each other on like opposite sides of the room, but like I said, 4 foot gap. Devin would be on his bed, I would be on my bed, and I think this is where the fight and magic sets came in because I didn't have magic sets at first, but I think I created them eventually. But it was like fight, like I think it was called fight, like just fight, and we would be like ninjas or something, and we would take it was like turn based. We would each take turns, and what we had to do, we would jump to the opposite bed, say what we were doing, do a little move, and then jump back to our bed, and we would each take turns doing that, and whoever wins like most hit points or whatever, like that was that game. But the Red Dragon game, that was so memorable and fun. We played that a lot. There were so many characters. Like that game had a lot of lore by the end of it. Another thing outside, like kind of around the same basis with like the kiddie pool, but like on the other side of the house in like a little alcove around like right next to the woods. It was like kind of like a little alcove. There was like a nice like glass table, some pretty chairs, like I guess left by some random old lady. I don't even remember. My mom said something about it. But me and my little sister Angel very often would go out to this little alcove with the glass table and sit in the chairs and play tea party because we found like an actual like tea, like a tea, like china, like glass tea set, like a tea kettles and little cups. They were tiny, but we made them work. We would clink our glasses, we would hold our pinky out, we would ask for one sugar or two. It was fun. Like me and Angel would have little conversations about stuff, and it was interesting and lovely. But that was some playtime around the house, and it was so beautiful, like so exciting and fun and like memorable to do stuff like that with my siblings at the house in the woods. Now, one cold winter day, very early morning, sun was shining, like things were happening, but me and my siblings were all laying in bed. Our mom bursts into the room and she's like, "Guys, it snowed overnight. It was cold enough that it snowed overnight." Like, like right here, like we were too young to really understand or appreciate the snow right now, but like, because I remember the real first time, like the first time I consider as my first time seeing snow was when we went to New York, but I think that was a little bit after the house in the woods, but I still consider it my first time. But at the house in the woods, it was very early morning. Um, oh yeah, in New York. In New York, it looked orange outside. We thought it was raining, but our mom was like, "No, that's snow." But and we were like old enough to be like, "Oh my God, snow! That's so beautiful." So at the house in the woods, it was only one time. We never saw snow like after this or before this, but it was kind of a warm winter day. But I guess it was cold enough overnight for it to snow that like before the morning came, and it was snowy. There was a bunch of snow everywhere. It was very like probably 1 inch or two, but like we went out there because our mom woke us up. She like helped us roll up some big old snowballs, and we made a snowman. We put it out there, watched it out the window as it melted, but like it stood there for at least 9 hours. Like it was nice to watch him. I remember like in New York, we did a lot of like we love making snowman, but our main thing was we would make the biggest snowballs we could possibly make. Like we made it look like we were making a snowman, but we just kept rolling and rolling and rolling until it got so big that there was like not even any snow on the grass or sidewalks. It would start getting muddy. That's how big the snowballs in New York would be for us because we would roll. And our mom thought it was so funny. But yeah, it was just the perfect day in like the little wooded area, like house in the woods. It was so beautiful. Now, we did have chores. Like we always like we were kids. Our mom like she's like, "Okay, let's do some chores." And her boyfriend for sure wanted us to like have some chores. It wasn't always that bad, but this one was not fun. I'll tell you right now, you do not want to clean out a burnt down trailer. So, my mom's boyfriend had a friend named Texas. We eventually found out his real name was Patrick, but for a while we only knew him as Texas. So Texas had a grandma who owned this trailer, but it burnt down and he needed help cleaning it. So he gave us some thick rubber gloves, some safety glasses, and had us climbing hills of burnt nothingness, like ashes and pieces of broken down trailer, and pick it up, put it in trash bags. We were safe, like nothing ever bad happened, but we were getting ash everywhere, dirty, nasty. It was not fun to do. Um, this is a time I will warn you right now. Never do this. I do not recommend this. Never do this. So me and my siblings were like the first time in this shed. It looks way newer than the house. I will tell you, it was painted white. I don't think it was nice as this picture, but it looked pretty close. It looked nice. It was newer than the house, and we were sitting around the living room. It was lunchtime. We went to the kitchen and opened the fridge, and we had this game like from previous houses that we would play with the fridge. We would grab random food items, condiments, bologna, cheese, hot dog, like whatever random food stuff was in the fridge, and make concoctions, like random food things, like roll the cheese in the bologna and put some ketchup and mustard and mayo in it and eat it. It was very fun to do, but at that time, that day, for some reason, we didn't have very much stuff. So we made a couple things, said, if we eat too much, we're gonna get in trouble, so let's not eat too much. I think it was like somebody noticed the shed with the door open out the window and said, let's go see what's in the shed. I think there's like trash bags out there. I don't know why we thought this was a good idea. Trash bags should be the first red flag. We went out there, pulled out like 2 or 3 trash bags, sat behind a log, ripped some bags open, and we ate some ice cream cones that were so stale they had no flavor. So we poured some like barbecue sauce on the ice cream cones and ate them. There was this little candy thing wrapped up. We were like, oh, this is wrapped up. It was like a peanut butter crunchy. It was like a cylinder. It was not your normal candy bar. It was like retro, but it was like peanut butter something. It was sweet. It was sugary. It was stale for sure and really chewy. But we ate that. I don't remember what else was in there, but I don't want to get into too much more detail. I'll tell you right now. Well, first, our mom and her boyfriend pulled up in the truck, and we thought we were hidden. And for like 5 minutes, nothing happened. We were just eating away. All of a sudden, our mom was like, we can see you over there. What are you doing? You're not, like, that's disgusting. Don't do that. Like, get away from there. Put those back in the shed. Like, we were throwing those away and getting rid of it. You should not be doing that. And her boyfriend laughs. He's chuckling to himself. He's like, you're all going to get sick later. And Devin's like, no, we're not. I got a strong stomach. I got a strong immune system. Nothing bad is going to happen to any of us. Later that night, you guess what happened? We're all 4 of us sitting around the toilet waiting to throw up. I was the first one. Riley was the second one. Angel was the third one. We all thought that Devin was not going to throw up. We thought he was going to be right. That he was like, strong stomach, strong immune system, no throw up. Finally, hours later, he threw up. And we were like, dang, Devin, you copped out. But my mom's boyfriend just laughing so hard that he kept coming in saying like, oh, you realize your mistake now, don't you? Yeah, don't do this. Here's another little crazy event at the house in the woods. Riley. Don't know what he was thinking. Nobody should ever do this. Here's another thing you don't want to do. Would not recommend. 0 out of 10. I mean, it was funny after the fact. And looking back on it, it was like, dang, he really got him. But I guess Riley found a lighter. And he was kind of young, so he didn't really know any better. But he found a lighter and I guess a piece of paper. And he got under the bed in my... Actually, was this in the house in the woods? No, this was definitely not in the house in the woods. I'm going to talk about it anyways because I put it in the video, or put it in like, I already have a picture and everything up, but it was not in the house in the woods. The house in the woods just really reminded me of this moment. But it was in a trailer. So Riley got under the bed and it was super low to the floor too. Like I don't know, like I guess he was tiny. He squeezed under there. He was playing with the lighter and the paper. He thought it was funny, but he lit the mattress on fire. I think me, Devin, and Angel were all outside, but like all of a sudden there's smoke, like the door flies open, smoke's billowing out. My mom's boyfriend's yelling about getting a big spaghetti pot and filling it with cold water. They're running back and forth. We're all looking through the door like, what's happening? My mom's boyfriend's running back and forth, getting more water. Finally, he runs out the door. Like everybody's going to move out the way. We back up really far. He runs out the door with the mattress flaming in his arms, throws it to the ground away from the house. And like, you could bet Riley got in trouble, but it was just a crazy incident. Just don't play with fire. Okay, back to the house in the woods, because I thought that was in the house in the woods, but I guess it wasn't. I remember now. Sometimes memories can be fuzzy, but I know for a fact, like everything I've talked to up to this point is mostly in the house in the woods, but not the mattress. This, though, the kitchen is in the house in the woods. So children are innocent. And one great example of the purity we held as kids took place in this kitchen. So one morning, the sun is shining brightly through all the windows. There's no adults in the house with us. We entered the kitchen together to make breakfast. But don't worry, we were very used to being alone and can be pretty independent. We were going to make some pancakes or probably cereal for breakfast. Instead, we heard some squeaking coming from behind a cabinet directly to the right. It wasn't fully connected to the wall. So we moved the trash can, and to our surprise, we found 3 baby mice in a glue trap. Our mom had not told us about this. We were so sad. We wanted to save them. So we carefully took them off the trap and set them all free outside. Our mom later came home, smiled sadly but knowingly, and explained that rodents are bad for houses and that we had actually hurt them by doing that and to not do it again. We wanted to save them, guys. We were like so sad for the poor innocent mice, and we put them outside. They probably did not make it, but we had good intentions, good hearts, good souls, and good minds for those little cute mice. But don't do that either. So here's where it kind of starts to get creepy. The house in the woods, when you turn off the lights at night in the bedrooms, it does not look pretty. Like shadows everywhere, walls all dusty, bed's kind of old and creaky. So sleeping in the house was awkward. My little sister had her own room. My mom painted it pink. It was kind of cringe, but it was a girl's room for her. Like she loved that girly stuff. But the three of us boys, we had the three beds in the one room, and it was kind of a big room to be honest. It was cramped though when we had three beds in there. We always stayed up talking, and we always called for mommy all the time, over and over, mommy, until she finally came and told us to go to bed. So there were some times I got in trouble in that room, or well, not in trouble, but almost. Sometimes we had sleepovers with a friend, and this is where I'm going to talk about them. Um, but basically, I'm gonna start with this one. There was a time I was calling for mommy so much that she and her boyfriend made me stand in the corner in the living room for so long. I kept begging to go back to bed. I felt like it was a long time. My legs got tired, my feet got sore, but I don't think it was actually that long. My mom was not that mean. She's the best mom ever. But I didn't like it. So there was a time where I woke up in the middle of the night. I heard talking in the main room of the house, like not the living room, like the middle room where all the bedrooms are. I heard talking between my mom and my mom's boyfriend. Like they were talking about something. Finally, I hear them stop. It's silent. I hear the door to the door to the room, like the main room, like between the hallway and the living room and stuff. Like it closed. I thought they were gone. I was like, I really have to go to the bathroom. I just woke up and I have to go to the bathroom. So I get up. I walk out of the bedroom, and all of a sudden, my mom's boyfriend goes, "Boo!" He said, I caught you. I know you've been awake this whole time. I said, I just woke up. I just have to go to the bathroom. He said, prove it. I'm going to stand here while you go to the bathroom. Well, the door was cracked, like it was open a little bit, but he couldn't see me. He heard, like all he could do is hear me. He was like, okay, you better be going to the bathroom. So I took a little tinkle, made sure it splashed in the water, and went back to bed. I almost got in trouble, but I didn't. But there were fun times, obviously. Like I had a sleepover. Like I don't know if it was a cousin or just my mom had some family friends. I don't know, but there was this boy named Sean that came over sometimes. We had a sleepover once. Sean was like, I don't know if he was spiritual. He was definitely into magic and like witchy stuff and talked about weird stuff all the time. Well, he convinced me and my siblings that there was like other realms connected to ours so bad, like that we went to bed that night sleeping. He top and toe with me. Like he slept in my bed top and toe with me, which means his head was at my feet and my head was at his feet. And I woke up in the middle of the night again. It happened quite often, I'm sure. I thought I saw a hand, like a claw, coming out of a portal. It disappeared so fast, like it was like a second, and I was like not sure, but I woke everyone up and told them about it. I was like, you guys got to know about this portal. Sean believed me. He was like, yep, there's the other realms coming to connect to our world. I don't know if my siblings believed me, but it was weird. I don't know if I think it was real at this time, but definitely when I was a kid, I thought it was real. Now I'm sure. Okay, this one. This was a beautiful, like heartwarming, touching moment. Um, so one time I got in trouble. I don't know what it was for. My mom's boyfriend just gets mad a lot, but my mom was like trying to protect me, like get him to stop. And there was this one bedroom that wasn't used because I don't like. She put me in that room. She said stay in there for the rest of the day. There was a tiny bed and a heart shaped pillow. So the room was unused because it was very cold. I don't think it had any insulation. It was definitely the coldest room in the house, coldest room I've ever been in my whole life, I think, except for my ex stepmom's basement. But like that's a different story. There was a heart shaped pillow, and I held it. I hugged it to my chest, and I cried for a while. And I was wondering like, why am I even in trouble? Like I didn't do anything. I mean, I've been in trouble before. Like my mom's boyfriend, like he grounded me. There was like a top bunk and I was sitting in it, and he threatened to shave my whole head. I don't think he did, but that was nothing compared to this. Cold room, bare bed, heart-shaped pillow. But I was hugging it, and I stopped crying. I sniffled, wiped my tears, and I decided right then and there that I forgave my mom, and I made a vow that I would always love her no matter what. I still hold to that vow to this day. Like my dad's side of the family tries telling me like stories to make her seem like a bad person, but she's the best mom. She's such a good person, like in her heart. Like she's always tried to do good by us. I will always love her no matter what. And that was the moment I decided for forever. Now, this is why the house is haunted. That time I lived in a haunted house. We had discovered from the moment we walked in that the basement was full of crap, random junk, old trinkets, crappy antiques, all scattered everywhere. Random stuff everywhere, filled to the brim. There was so much crap in the basement that you couldn't even get past the bottom of the stairs. We never went into the basement. So, um, basically, the cellar door was locked, the windows were covered, no one could get in or out except through the house. and it was such a small house that like we would know if someone was coming in. So definitely not a squatter. What happened was my mom had a camera, and in the center there was a main room that had all the bedrooms and the bathroom like circling it. The floor of this main room was made of wood planks. The wood was old and had holes in it. The basement was unfinished, unused, and full of all this trash from the previous owner. Each night, we would take a picture into one hole, and the very next morning, we would take a picture into that same hole. We would compare the pictures, and between the two pictures, all the items would be different and moved around. There were also little spirit orbs in the pictures. Like I said, it couldn't be a squatter. No way into the basement. We were all like, I am still to this day convinced that basement was haunted. We like to prank my little sister. We like to prank Angel, as brothers, as boys do. Like there was one time at a different house, we were with a friend. She looked like Dora the Explorer, if I'm being completely honest. There was like she lived in a house and there was like a trailer past like a field, but she like I think that family owned this field and owned that trailer. While all the adults were talking, I decided to get my brothers together and we followed my little sister around with big, huge, creepy smiles and kept telling her to join us, smile with us. Now back to the house in the woods. We were looking through a hole in the wood planks. We pulled our little sister to the side and we told her we saw through a hole there was a grim reaper walking around in the basement. She did get upset. She almost cried, but we had to convince her there were actually puppies down there. We're like, no, we were lying. It's just puppies. Cute little puppies are going yip yip yip. And she got better. Like she was okay. She stopped like getting freaked out. She's like, oh, puppies are cute. Like we always try to make her feel better if we upset her. Like we would prank her. It would usually be fine. She would laugh it off later. But if she did get upset, we would try to make her feel better. Like we weren't that mean. We loved her. So yeah, the basement, all these items would move around at night. Very creepy. All these wonderful memories, all this beautiful stuff that happened, except for this one that did happen, but not in the house. All the stuff in the house. Just a wonderful time. There's more stories from my childhood. And if you like this video, if you want to hear more stories, if you want another lengthy video about my life, I've got childhood stories. And my childhood was very interesting. We moved a lot and there was lots of stuff to explore and lots of stuff to talk about. So let me know in the comments if you want to hear this. Like, comment, subscribe. Go to my Twitter at Donnie65. Go to my subreddit, Rile Up Creative Streaks. Join the communities. Follow everything. And thank you for watching. Please, I hope you enjoyed. I'm glad you stayed. Thank you. Bye. Boop.
About my story, it's special and precious. This tale of my glory. We've stuck together since we were babies. We've shared what's there inside our heart. Yeah, every single day. Let's talk about all the things that we have been waiting for. Let me hear those magic words. Walking, it's a walking lucky day. It's a walking lucky day. Let's spend our time together in a way that will never fade away. What a walking lucky day. What a walking lucky day. And let's get ready to play the way that makes us feel someday. Body and my story. Walkie glory. Walkie talkie glory.